My name is Todd Southen and I'm a developer here at Bentley. I am a member of the team that enables our users to create mobile apps using iTwin. Today I'm going to talk about iTwin mobile apps with a focus on integrating native user interfaces with React. I'll start with an overview of the architecture, then do a quick demo of our camera sample app. From there, we'll dive into some live coding with a simple example followed by a more in-depth one. I'll wrap it up with a summary of what you've learned and details on where you can get more information. This diagram shows the basic components of an iTwin mobile app. The green blocks represent JavaScript or TypeScript code, and the blue blocks represent native compiled code. Some of the key points to take away here are that both the front and back ends are running on the device. A web view is used to run front-end JavaScript code, present web UIs and run business logic, present a consistent touch-friendly React UI using our mobile UI React components, and communicate to native code via the messenger class in our mobile SDK. Okay, I'm now going to demonstrate the functionality of our camera sample app. It's a full screen web view that uses native UI components, including action sheets, alerts, document picker. I'm going to switch to my iPad using QuickTime so you can see the app on my screen. So here's the camera sample app. It's a full screen web view, very simple, meant to be a demo app for developers. 2 buttons, one for loading local models, one for loading models that are on the hub. So if I click local models, I could then click choose file, and it shows me snapshot models that are on my device. This UI that we're seeing here, full screen again, is a standard document picker UI presented by the iPad itself. I could click on one of these files, say blocks, it opens up the file in the viewer. I can go back out, I can choose a different model. Let's say this one here, this hospital model. You can zoom with pinch and moving around pans. You can single click and you can rotate. The menu up here in the upper right is what's called an action sheet. So that's another standard iOS control with menu items that you can click on. So I could turn off the camera or turn it back on. Not sure why it changed the zoom factor so much there, but then along the bottom here we have various tabs. And so this tools tab has some standard tools in it. The camera sample app adds those first two, the second and third tools, the picture and camera tool. So I can click on picture, then I can click on a spot in the model, and now we're being presented with choosing an image. Again, this is a standard iOS control. You can kind of tell it looks a little bit different than our React UI. I can click on an image, and that image has been associated with the model at that location that I tapped. If I tap on that thumbnail, it shows me the image in full screen. This is again React. The pictures show up here in the pictures tab as well. So I can tap and add another couple pictures. Say that one, that one. If I zoom out, the thumbnails combine. Zoom back in, they're individual. They're associated with 3D points, so as we move around, the thumbnails move around. If I go to the Pictures tab and I press Delete, we get this confirmation dialog. That's again a standard iOS alert box, which would be hard to duplicate in React and is very familiar to your users. So you want to use the standard dialog box if you can. And say yes, and it will delete it. You can also use the camera. So for example, if I go here and click camera, switch to the front camera, I can take a picture of myself, that button, say retake. I'll try to smile this time. the use photo. And there you go. That one's just associated with the model, not with a specific point in the model. I think that's the basics of the sample app that I want and the native UIs that I wanted to highlight. If I go back out there, I'll switch back to PowerPoint presentation. Now I'm actually going to do some coding demonstrations. So I've already set up my coding environment, including running Xcode and Visual Studio Code, and have my iPad connected. I won't be going into the details of all that, how that's all set up. We have other presentations that go into those details, including a step-by-step tutorial on the Bentley developer site, which I'll have a link at in the end of this presentation. In the demo, you may have noticed that there were blue dots showing where my finger touches were. That's used via a package called Showtime. So what we're going to do is just add a menu item that will toggle Showtime on and off from our action sheet. So first I'll give a brief description of some of the APIs we're going to use. On the TypeScript side, we're going to use the messenger class. It has two static methods, one called query and one called sendMessage. Query lets you send a message to Swift and along with any data that you want to send, and it will asynchronously return a promise of any data that you want to send back. There's also a simplified version of that function called sendMessage that you send a message with a specific string name and any data you want to send, but you don't have to await a promise if you don't want to. So that's the one we'll be using for the first bit of code. Then on the Swift side of things, we have to register a query handler for any messages that we're sending. So in the ITM application class, we have a function called register query handler. And again, you provide the message name that you want to handle and the code that will handle that message. Okay, now I'm going to switch to Visual Studio Code, and we can start doing some coding of this. So here I am in the model screen code. This is where that action sheet is defined, and I'm going to define a new action sheet item. We'll call it toggle touches. Give it the same title. This would normally be localized, but for this demo purposes, doesn't matter. And then on selected, we'll provide an arrow function that will do the work. Okay, in this case, the work is, we're going to use the messenger class as mentioned, and we're going to send a message with whatever message name we want. So we'll call it toggle touches. And we'll save that. So on the TypeScript side, now that's complete and it compiled. And if I switch to Xcode, I need to now handle that message. So I'm going to import a couple of things here. I'll import promise kit and I'll import Showtime. And then here I can add a new query handler. So register query handler. The name of the message was toggle touches. And then we're going to put the handler right here in line. So this is a function that doesn't take any parameters and is going to return an empty promise, which we will define like this. Okay, so it will return promise value like that. Now, to turn off or on Showtime, to toggle it, I'm going to go Showtime dot enabled. I don't know why the autocorrect doesn't come up sometimes. Equals Showtime dot enabled honestly don't know why that. I'm going to try this again. Save. just build that here, just so we get the autocomplete, so it's a bit more. So if I go show time, this one, dot enabled equals, you can see what the current value of showtime dot enabled is. There. If it's, these are the three possible values: never, always, or debug only. So if it's off, that would be never. Then we're going to turn it on by setting it to dot always. Sorry, showtime enabled. It should be not a question mark, equals never. Set it to always, otherwise set it to never. That should be correct now. Now if I build that, it's built, so I run it. Here we are in the app again. You can see the touches are enabled right now as I touch. Oops, that's not what I wanted to click on. I wanted to do local, that one. You can see toggle touches menu is there now. If I click on it, now no blue dots. If I click it again, get the blue dots back. So great, does exactly what we want it to. What if we enhance this a little bit? Let's go back and change the menu item depending on whether or not showtime is enabled or not. So I'm going to make this an, I just have to make this an async function because I'm going to await some. I'm going to create a new message that we're going to send to Swift. So here I'm going to say showtime enabled is equal to messenger dot query is showtime enabled. I have to await this one. So our new message is going to be is showtime enabled, and it's going to return us a Boolean. So in here, rather than the title being toggle touches, I can say is showtime, what was that called? No, showtime enabled. So if it's enabled, we're going to say hide touches. Otherwise, the label is going to be show touches. Okay, so now I have to create a new handler in Xcode for that one. So again, register query handler is showtime enabled. This time the function again is empty parameters, but we are going to return a bool. Not sure how that just be in. There we go. So we're going to actually just return promise.value, and we're going to return whether or not showtime is enabled. So we can say showtime dot enabled equals dot always. Okay, so that will be a Boolean that will return. So now if I hit save there and hit run, go again into the model. So now it says hide touches. Click on hide touches. Touches are hidden. It says show touches. Touches are showing. Great. So just to go back to the code, you can see here that we're now passing a value back to TypeScript from Xcode based on whether or not showtime is enabled or not. So a last enhancement we could do here just for fun is that we could have just a single message that does, we could just have a new message called showtime, and you could pass it the state that you want it to be, and it will return the state of showtime. So maybe I'll start with that in Xcode this time. So I'm going to do another register query handler. Let's just call this showtime. Again, we'll do the code in line. This time the function is actually going to take some parameters. So it's going to take a dictionary basically. So this is what how a dictionary is defined in Swift. It's going to be optional, and this function is going to return a promise bool, just like before. So in this code, I'll just copy down here. So we're always just going to return the state of showtime. But then we can actually do something with these parameters. So we can say if they supply us some parameters, so this is how you do that in Swift, to say if let params equals params. And now we'll have a new local variable called params that's guaranteed to be not null. And let's say they passed us the state. So params state, and that's going to be a Boolean. So if they pass us params and the params dictionary has a entry called state that's a Boolean, then we can set showtime dot enabled equal to the value based on that state. So if the state is true, then we want to say always. Otherwise, never. I've got sting instead of string here. Okay, so now we're able to actually set the state and return the state in one query handler. Okay, that's compiled now. So now let's use that in our code here. So rather than is showtime enabled, it would just be showtime. That will always return the state. And then again here, we'll send the message showtime, but we're going to add a parameter here. So we're going to have a dictionary like this that says state. I'm going to toggle showtime enabled. So that's saying send a message saying showtime, and we want the state to be toggled. So we toggle it. We already know if it's enabled, so we'll disable it. If it's disabled, this will enable it. I believe that should work. So now if I save that, go back to Xcode, I'll just comment out of these lines here because we don't need them right now. Save, run. Okay, go back in. Again, touches are currently working. You can see that. It says hide touches. If I hit hide touches, touches are now hidden. Show touches. There you go. So that all worked. Okay, fantastic. So that's the simple example, building on itself and making it a little bit more complicated. I'm going to go into next back to PowerPoint and talk about a more in-depth example from there. The Camera Sample app can already share photos using the standard iOS sharing UI. To demonstrate how easy this is to do, I'm going to recode it from scratch. As before, it is triggered using messages. So we're going to subclass the ITM native UI component class, basically set up a query handler for the share images message and present that UI. I'll switch over to Xcode and start doing the coding. So let's create a new class, call it demo image sharer, and it's going to be a subclass of ITM native UI component. We'll override the init function, calling super.init, passing in the ITM native UI. And then we're going to set the query handler for this class equal to ITM messenger register query handler. So very similar to what we've done before. Share images. And in this case, we'll actually have a handle query function. Okay. So now we need to create that function. Handle query. So let's for now just have it with no parameters, and it's going to return a void promise. So, okay, nothing's read there, so now we can start actually coding things. Okay, so we're actually going to get a dictionary as parameters. So parameters like that. So that should be a colon, not a comma. There we go. Switch back here to, oops, not there, there. Okay. So we're going to see if we're going to get we're past the URL, basically string versions of the URLs that we want to share. So I'm going to have to do some work to convert those to actual URLs and then present those to the user. So I'm going to say if let URLs equals params URLs as a string array. So if they pass us a string array, and we're going to get the view controller for this native UI component. So if those two things are true, I should say params, then we can say, okay, let's get the items into an array. As I said, there's strings and they need to be URLs, so we've got a function already available for that. So we'll map those from the strings using a function right here. So in the image cache, we have this get file URL function. It's going to be a URL. So all that does is basically create an array of URLs. If I open up this here, you can see that items is an array of URLs. URLs is an array of strings. Okay, so we now have the URLs that we want to share. We're going to create a share activity using this UI activity view controller. So this is as it says here, is used to offer standard services for your app, including sharing. So we're going to create a new UI activity controller. The items are going to be our items that we just created, and our activities will be nil. Oops. One L on nil. Okay. At this point, we could actually just present. So with the view controller, we can present the share activity. So the parameters: animated true, completion nil. But we have to set up a couple things in the share activity. This is the basic functionality for the share activity. I'm going to exclude I'm going to exclude some messages type, so they don't see that on the screen. It clutters it up a bit. And we have to, for the iPad, we have to set up, it's called a popover view controller, or yeah, it uses a popover, so we have to set that up. So if I say let popover equal share activity dot popover presentation controller, so that will only be true if we're on an iPad. Then in here we have to say the popover source view is equal to our view controller, and the popover source rect has to be set as well. We're actually being passed that in, but I don't want to complicate this example too much by doing that. So I'm just going to use some fixed values here. So I'll just put that at 500, 500, 0, 0. Okay. vc.view. There. Let's see if that builds. Okay, that built. So just to summarize, basically we're using this UI activity view controller to do the sharing based on some URLs that are passed to it. I'm going to go down here. So where we're actually registering, we've got our existing image sharer. I'm just going to change this to use our new class called demo image sharer. So I'm just going to pick that up, put that there instead. Now if I run, it'll build. Come back into our file. Now if I hit the share button like here, pops up this view controller. So this view controller is what we just coded up. You can see, for example, I could choose print here, move my mouse out of the way. You can see it's going to print the image if I hit print. So there you go. Okay, in summary, what you've learned so far today is an overview of the iTwin mobile app architecture, simple messaging integration between TypeScript and Swift, and a more advanced integration using our mobile SDK. Here are a bunch of links to get more information, including our mobile samples and our SDKs on GitHub. We have a full tutorial for getting started on developer.bentley.com. And you can always ask questions by creating discussions on iTwin discussions. With that last link, please add the mobile or iOS or Android label to those discussions. So we encourage you to sign up for your developer account on developer.bentley.com and start building your own apps. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this session, and please feel free to email me with any questions you may have.